Welcome back to the Realty Funnels Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Cahill, and I'm delighted to welcome back to the podcast Tim Street, the FSBO Guy. Tim, thank you so much for agreeing to join me again on the podcast.
Hey, Kevin, thanks so much for having me back. Thank you for actually agreeing to have me back. It's quite an honor.
Well, we had a great conversation, and there's still so much more to share. And so I wanted to have everyone have this opportunity to just sit in on our conversation. So let's just keep the conversation going.
Sounds great.
You know, what's so great about real estate is that homeowners by law are allowed to sell their own home if they want to. They don't have to use a real estate agent. And for many people, that might be a smart path. But for some people, it might appear to be the wise approach, but may not work out as well as they had hoped. And so you're really looking to help give those people a little bit of an education on what the whole journey might look like before they even start the process.
Absolutely. I mean, so one of the most harmful things you can do for somebody is to confirm a harmful bias. So if, a lot of people, and I myself was guilty of this as well. Before I got my real estate license, I thought the job of real estate agent was easy. You chuck a sign in the yard, you wait for people to call you and you show up collecting tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, what a dream. It wasn't until I actually did the job when I realized, holy smokes, there is so much that goes into it. And I think a lot of homeowners, they get themselves into trouble because just because something is legal doesn't mean it's smart. Okay. It's legal for me to step in front of a bus, but is it smart? No, not really. What I find a lot of homeowners do is they will go on YouTube University, spend an hour watching some videos, read a few blogs and think, okay, I've got it. I know how to do this. And then 3 years later, they find themselves in court getting sued because they failed to disclose something or they didn't do something right. And so what I try to tell people is like, look, selling your home is, well, it's simple, but it's not easy. And what I mean by that is it's like running a marathon. Running a marathon is simple. It's putting one foot in front of the other for 26.2 miles at a time. It's not easy. There's nothing easy about that. So when you take a giant, massive, complex operation like selling the biggest asset in your portfolio, you have to be very disciplined. You have to have a blueprint. And going at this willy-nilly, thinking that you have all it figured out after watching a video, that's where the harm comes in. That's where the danger comes in. So I'm here to kind of teach people the right way of doing things and say, listen, if you want to go there, if you want to run that marathon, well, I've got your training plan and it's this, this, and this. But please don't just go out and having never run a mile in your life, go out and think you're going to conquer a marathon tomorrow because you're going to be your orthopedic surgeon's best friend.
Well, you and I are very similar. When we're working with a client, we want to help that client, whether they're a seller or a buyer, remain in a position of strength throughout the negotiating process. Mm-hmm. It's fascinating. What Lisa and I have determined is when we price a property correctly, generate multiple offers, we're able to help a home seller remain in a position of strength throughout the entirety of the transaction. If we're not able to generate multiple offers, if the home seller was significantly overpriced, they're in a weak position almost from the get-go, and the entire transaction is just going to continue down that path. And so what we want to do when we're working with, for example, if somebody's considering selling their home on their own, what are the smart strategies they can use so that they can remain in a position of strength? If somebody is purchasing a home, what are the things that they can do to be in a position of strength throughout the purchase process? And that might be, if you're buying a home, it might be that you're pre-approved from the get-go. It might be that you have a strong earnest money deposit. It might be that you have 20% down payment, maybe even more than 20% down payment. It might be that you're able to acquiesce to the seller's preferred closing dates. There are ways in which either party can put themselves in stronger positions. And it's fascinating when we watch people go and do the opposite of what would keep them in a position of strength.
It is, yeah. It is. Well, so you bring something up and I thought of it like one of the most, I guess, counterintuitive methods to make sure, and I don't know if you've seen this in your experience. In my experience, I've seen one of the most counterintuitive ways to make sure you get the most for the house is to ask less than everybody else in your area.
Absolutely.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, Kevin, I can't tell you how many times I've had to, just fight tooth and nail with people to get them to understand you don't price high to negotiate down. We're not selling ShamWows. We're not, what do people do right now? They comparison shop, and they have been doing it for 10 years on Amazon. And when they want to look at a coffee mug, they look at a 16-ounce coffee mug that's thermal, stainless steel. And then what's the next thing to look at? Price. So when people are looking at houses, what are they looking at? 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,800 square feet, 2-car garage, price. And if your price isn't the doggone best price in that entire group, you might as well not even show up to the game, because you're going to get laughed out of it. If I had to get above asking price on a house, I would much rather start the bidding at $1 for that house than I would start it at above asking price, because guess what? That has a much higher chance, because now you have people bidding emotionally on the home. You have people who couldn't necessarily afford it except to maybe be a stretch goal, who now are like, well, maybe this thing is in with reach. And then when they fall in love with the house, maybe they ask Uncle Teddy or Aunt Margaret, who are rich, have more money than brains, for a short-term loan to get this home. But a lot of times it's just the fact that they're there. Like, another huge life hack that we found works so well was our open houses were zoos. They were circuses. There's a lot of people out there who laughed at us for even having an open house. Like, it's a waste of your time. Are you bored? And I think, there's a reason people say that is because the people usually do open houses is they put out a couple of banners, maybe a few directional signs, and they just sit there with their arms crossed behind a table with some packaged cookies on it and expect, success to just materialize. No, sir. I mean, we made it sure that the open house was only for 2 hours. It was a 2-hour window. Why? Because I wanted people packed in there. If they were going to see that home, I wanted this to be a priority. I wanted to make it inconvenient. One of the best ways to get a crowd inside of a nightclub or a bar is to put a velvet rope across the front and not just let everybody in, right? It's the velvet rope. And so that's social proof, Kevin. I remember one time I was walking out of a house and I had to get air. I mean, it was Florida, it was hot, and it was just too stifling inside. There's too much action. And I walk outside and I look to my left, and there's a lady with her real estate agent on the phone writing out an offer to purchase contract on her steering wheel. And she sees me looking at her, and she rolls down the window. She goes, "Oh, I wanted to talk to you, but it was too busy." I was like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" And she goes, "Well, I heard 2 other people in there say that they wanted to write an offer on this place tonight, so I want to get mine in first." It's magic. It's magic. Yeah.
Well, if you can create an event, if you can, and it's not even a false sense of urgency, it's real urgency.
It's real.
Somebody's going to buy that house.
Yeah.
What's so interesting with the advent of AI technology over the last 3 years, even though AI has been around for a dozen years, but I mean, with ChatGPT and all this stuff, people can go on, say, for example, homes.com. Andy Florence, CEO of CoStar, just announced a week ago Monday that they were putting AI into homes.com. And so I use homes.com a lot. So I went on to check out this AI. I went to a bunch of different properties that I knew intimately well that I felt were overpriced. I asked the AI, what do you think the eventual selling price of this home would be? The AI on homes.com told me the number I agreed was probably the right price.
That's amazing. Wow.
So we have access to it. Consumers have access to it. And yet if a consumer is trying to do this on their own, and they don't do this more than every 7 to 11 years on average, they may not necessarily know what they need to do to either get their home sold for top dollar in this competitive market, this challenging market that we're dealing with right now, or how to win that property for the right price when there are other people out there circling around trying to get that home at a certain right price as well. So I really think that as much as there's AI and technology that is helping consumers, I really think that a lot of people would do very, very well to avail themselves to the help that an experienced full-time professional real estate agent can offer.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if their house, like a lot of people don't understand the legal complexity. So like one thing I tell people is if regardless of whether you're selling on your own or you're not, a non-negotiable is having a real estate attorney or a title company involved, whatever your state allows. That you never try to do anything, like if your house is subject to a judgment, like a divorce or probate, anything like that, write that real estate agent their check, because they're going to go through legal hell and back for you to try to get that house sold. It's not worth what it is to do. If you're, for example, if you're a cardiologist and you're making $30,000 a day saving people's lives, I'm going to look like an idiot if I tell you, hey, Carl, go ahead and take 7 days off of work to prep your house in order to save, $25,000. It's silly to do. So yes, by all means, there are absolutely instances where it would be just such a bad idea to try to do something like this on your own. And to your point, what I think a lot of people find themselves in the scenario of, well, I'm only going to do this once every 10 years, once every 12 years. Then, taking that percentage, point hit isn't so hard. And I think that the people who are more curious about saving those commission points are people who are in two phases of their life. Number one, they're a young family with a stay-at-home mom who feels like they have enough time to do the project management of working with a title company and a professional photographer and a building inspector and all that kind of stuff. Or number two, they're folks who are retired and an extra $10,000, $15,000 in their retirement account is life-changing. And maybe they can retire on time. And maybe they're the kind of people like my dad. My dad's a bigger man than I am. He still cuts his own grass and he's in his 70s. I don't even cut my own grass. The guy's awesome. But they're the kind of folk, my parents, they love DIY projects. They have all the time in the world. This is something they could sink their teeth into. I think the majority, 90%, maybe even higher than that, of people out there who are looking at buying and selling, they're either doing it under a timeline or doing it because of a major life event. It's probably not a great move for them, which is why what I do is even if they come to me and they want help, like I said at the beginning, I'm always going to disappoint you with the truth as opposed to comforting you with a lie. So if I know that you're taking a step into a disastrous path, I'm not going to hold your hand while you do it. I'm going to stop. You got to stop. This is not going to work out well for you. I had a guy approach me. He was a plumber, a wonderful guy, but he was going through a divorce. He was taking over his brother's plumbing company in Georgia. He lived in Florida and he wanted to sell his house. I said, what are you talking? No, you don't want to sell your house. Are you kidding me? You just hit 3 red flags right out of the gate. So what I do in those cases is I reach out. I have a partner network of agents that I refer him to. And what's nice is I will actually call that agent in advance. I will pre-negotiate their rates down on his behalf. So when they come through me, they're still saving, a few $1,000s there on that end. And this person here is getting somebody who's truly grateful because I've gone through and I've explained what disaster would await them if they try to do this on their own. And by me explaining that to them, they never find themselves in a discussion with their real estate agent, which is, hey, so what exactly am I getting for all this money? They realize like, oh, wow, you guys are really helping me out of a bad situation here. Thanks for being here.
I had a great situation just this morning when a transaction closed and the couple said to me that Lisa and I were the best real estate agents that they had ever worked with.
You got to love that.
Oh, so thankful for that. And I feel so appreciated when people have such great experience and say something like that to me. The reality of it is I want them to have a great experience. I want to be the best real estate agent they could ever possibly encounter. Yeah. And yet not everybody's going to avail themselves to all the amazing help that is available to them. And they really owe it to themselves to find the resources that can help them get the guidance that would really make a difference. Now, you've created a quiz that we can then have people get a little sense of what they're doing. Let's talk a little bit about your quiz. I'm going to put that up on our screen, but tell everybody where they can go to find that.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, so I created this quiz because I had a lot of people ask me, hey, am I a good fit for this? Am I not good fit for that? Worse than that, I had people who thought they were a good fit for it go into that, and they ended up just costing themselves so much more than they would have spent on commissions. So, in order to prevent people from making a bad mistake, I created it's a literally a 7-question 2-minute quiz, and I've boiled it down so efficiently. As a result of those 7 questions, I'm going to tell you definitively whether selling on your own is a good path for you or whether it's not. So that's at foolprooffisbo.com/quiz. Foolproof FSBO is foolproof FSBO /quiz. And yeah, I think by giving people that information at the very beginning is helping them, because there's no reason for people to persist under a false assumption and then get themselves into a situation that could have been avoided.
And it's such an important and typically one of the largest financial decisions or experiences that people can encounter. As we talked about at the beginning of this podcast, can they do this on their own? Sure. They're lawfully allowed to sell their own home. And some people, they're not dealing with an overly complicated situation and they have the time and it might make a lot of sense. But for other people, just taking that quiz is going to give them a little bit of clarity so that they can make a better decision one way or the other.
Yeah, like we said, just because it's legal doesn't always mean it's smart.
Yeah. And you also have a book available for people. What's the name of that book?
Yeah, I do. It's the Home Seller's Guide. It's a 7-day launch sequence to help you get your home on the market. So if you do decide that you want to learn more about what's going to be expected of you, if you try to do this on your own, that ebook is a great primer, because it's going to tell you days 1 through 7. If you're serious about doing this, what kind of commitments are you going to have to make to get this done? That's at foolprooffisbo.com/ebook. So that's absolutely free to your audience. And I'd be honored if anybody had questions on it to go ahead and reach out to me. I'd be happy to help them.
Well, and it's more than just baking some fresh cookies before the open house.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's it. I mean, in the open house, gosh, we can go into all kinds of great open house strategies. We can go into neighborhood only open houses. One of a great thing that we did is we encourage people to invite their neighbors to an exclusive open house the Thursday evening before they go live, because that just basically recruits a sales army into your onto your team. And guess who cares more about the person buying your house? You, the person leaving, or your neighbors who are going to have to live with that person? So we are a huge believer in that as well.
Well, I know that you've created a bunch of videos. Let's talk about your YouTube channel, where people can find out a little bit more about you as well. That's youtube.com/@foolprooffisbo.
Yes. Yep. The Foolproof FSBO handle will follow me everywhere. So whether you look for me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and what I do is every single day, really, I'm putting out content, putting out short form videos where I'll give you little nuggets. And then every week I put out a long form content that gets a lot more into the weeds about things like pricing strategies, marketing strategies, how to stay safe legally, how not to get scammed at, what does it mean to close? What does escrow mean? Like a lot of things in these terms that, people from the outside wouldn't necessarily know coming in. I kind of educate them on the channel. And I also, at the beginning of this year, I put out this monster 4-hour video of basically an A to Z process of what it looks like to put a home on the market in 2026.
Very smart. And I know people can find you on Facebook as well. What do you do on your Facebook channel? Similar content?
Yes, very similar content. Facebook is obviously a little bit more interactive. So I enjoy Facebook because, number one, I'm old. And number two, I get to interact with people a lot more. People can ask real-time questions. I, of course, go live with my people every week on Fridays. I do a live stream every Friday at noon. And then inside my small group, my Facebook page, I go live every Wednesday. And we just talk about if anybody's having any challenges, whether it's related to pricing, whether it's related to staging, photography, whatever it is. We talk about it, and it's just a lot of fun.
Well, it's a great resource to these people, and whether they become a client or not, same with what Lisa and I do. We just want people to have the information so that they can make smarter decisions, avoid mistakes, and have a better outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the name of the game here for us is I'm not, we were joking around before. I'm not missing any meals. I have my real estate investments. They're funding my lifestyle. I'm truly at a point now where I could just kind of take some of these blessings that I've been given, this understanding of the sales process that I've learned through so many different industries and how I've been able to bring it to bear on the real estate industry and just give it to people. And hopefully, maybe there's a kid out there who gets to go to college because their parents started a college fund, or maybe there's a couple that gets to retire on time and enjoy their golden years out on taking cruises and enjoying each other for the first time after 40 years of marriage and hard work. I mean, those are the kind of stories that I really live to hear, and I love when I get to hear them.
Well, Tim, I think you're really making a big impact and putting a bit of a dent into the industry in a positive way, in a needed way. I'm so glad to have had you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for being here.
My gosh, thank you, Kevin. Tell Lisa I said hi, and thanks for all the hard work that you both do. And can't tell you what an honor it was to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.